Being physically fit allows you to properly support the Air Force mission. The Air Force Fitness Assessment is a tool to assist in the determination of your overall fitness and consists of 3 components: body composition, aerobic fitness, and muscular fitness. The fitness assessment takes place in the Fitness Assessment Cell, or FAC. Where a FAC is not available, unit commanders may designate an alternate location. Also, members taking their assessment must wear the official PT uniform. Body composition will be the first component assessed and is composed of height, weight, and abdominal circumference measurements. Height and weight measurements are obtained to satisfy DoD requirements. However, they are not factored into the composite score because, unlike the abdominal circumference measurement, they do not indicate where body fat is stored. Height and weight measurements will be taken at the start of the assessment in accordance with the procedures outlined in Air Force Instruction 36-2905. Unless medically exempt, all members will complete the 1.5-mile run as the aerobic component of the fitness assessment. The 1.5-mile run is used to measure cardiorespiratory fitness. You may warm up prior to beginning the run. When you are ready, line up behind the starting line. The assessor will tell you when to begin with the start of a stopwatch. You may have someone pace you while you run, but there may be no physical assistance, and you are required to stay on the course. Violating these requirements will result in termination of the test. Your completion time will be recorded when you cross the finish line. If you are medically exempt from the 1.5-mile run, the 1-mile walk is the only approved alternate aerobic assessment. You are required to walk 1 mile as quickly as possible. You must walk, not run, keeping at least 1 foot in contact with the ground at all times. Your heart rate will be recorded immediately upon completion of the mile by reading the value from a heart rate monitor. The muscular fitness component consists of a 1-minute timed push-up and a 1-minute timed sit-up. Let's take a look at the push-up. Place your palms or fists on the floor, hands slightly wider than shoulder width apart, with your elbows fully extended. Your feet may be no more than 12 inches apart and should not be supported, braced, or crossed. Your body should maintain this rigid head-to-heel form. This is the up position. Begin by lowering your body to the ground until your upper arms are at least parallel to the floor, elbows bent at least 90 degrees. Your chest may touch, but not rest on or bounce off the floor. The push-up is completed by returning to the start position with your elbows fully extended, but not locked, as this could cause injury. This is 1 repetition. Resting can only be done in the up position. You may remove your hands or feet from the floor or bridge or bow your back, but only in this up rest position. If you rest in the down position, the test will be terminated.
1, 2.
The correct number
3,
of push-ups will be
4,
counted out loud.
5.
Incorrect push-ups will not be counted,
7,
and you will be told what you are doing wrong.
Not low enough, sir. 8. Not low enough, sir. 8.
And the number of the last
9,
correct push-up will be
10,
repeated.
11. 12.
Here are some incorrect procedures to avoid. Allowing your back to arch during the push-up. Not going down until your upper arms are parallel with the floor. Not fully extending your elbows when completing the repetition. Failing to maintain the rigid head-to-heel form. The sit-up is the other component of the muscular fitness assessment, and like the push-up, you will have 1 minute to complete as many correct sit-ups as possible. Begin by laying face up on the floor or mat. Your feet may extend off the mat, but your buttocks, shoulders, and head must not extend beyond the mat. Bend your knees at 90 degrees, with your feet or heels in contact with the floor at all times. Cross your arms over your chest with your hands or fingers at your shoulders, resting on your upper chest. Raise your upper torso until your elbows touch your knees or thighs. Then, lower your upper torso until your shoulder blades contact the floor. This is 1 repetition. Your elbows must touch your knees or thighs at the top of the sit-up, and your shoulder blades must contact the floor or mat at the bottom of the sit-up, keeping any part of your hands or fingers in contact with your shoulders or upper chest at all times.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Begin.
You have 1 minute to perform as
1,
many correct sit-ups as
2,
possible. The correct
3,
number of repetitions
4,
will be counted out loud.
5, 41.
Incorrect
And we gotta keep your
sit-ups
hands in
will
contact
not be
with your chest.
counted,
That one doesn't
and you
count.
will be
42.
told what you are doing
Keep
wrong.
your hands in contact with your chest. That one doesn't count. 43.
The number of the last correct
44, you have 5
sit-up will be
seconds. That
repeated.
one does not count, man.
The total number of correct sit-ups
4,
in 1 minute
time.
is recorded as your score. You may request the assessor to hold your feet with his hands or by putting his knees on your feet, but he may not anchor you by holding your calves. Additionally, he may not stand on your feet during the assessment, as he could lose his balance and step off, causing you to lose a rep. Please note you may request a member of the same gender to hold your feet, and that request must be granted. You may use an anchored toe hold bar where available, so long as your heels remain in contact with the ground at all times and the bar cannot move. Here are some incorrect procedures to avoid. Elbows not touching your knees or thighs at the top of the sit-up. Shoulder blades not contacting the floor or mat at the bottom of the sit-up. Hands or fingers completely breaking contact with the shoulders or upper chest. Grabbing onto your shirt. This does not assist in performing the sit-up, and it makes it difficult to determine if you are maintaining proper contact. And lastly, lifting your buttocks off the floor. Once you've completed the assessment, you will be asked to review your scores and acknowledge the component results by signing the hard copy score sheet. It is important to note that FACS will supervise members conducting push-ups, sit-ups, and the 1.5 mile run at a ratio of no more than 12 members for every 1 FAC staff member. When multiple airmen are testing, they will pair off and count for each other while the FAC member provides oversight to ensure proper form.
Equipment and verbal instructions for the 2-minute hands release push-up. Equipment required. U.S. Air Force approved timing device. Cell phones are not authorized. Must read before the start of the test along with a short demonstration. The member will begin in the prone position and must ensure their hands are flat on the ground with the index fingers inside the outer edges of the shoulders. This is the starting position. The member will push their whole body up from the ground as a single unit to the up position by fully extending the elbows. The member will maintain a generally straight body alignment from the top of the head to the ankles. This generally straight position will be maintained for the duration of the exercise. The member will bend their elbows to lower the body back to the ground. The chest, hips, and thighs should touch down at the same time. The head or face do not have to contact the ground. Without moving the head, body, or legs, the member will extend both hands out from the body until arms are fully extended, forming a 90-degree angle between the arms and trunk at the shoulders. Hands must be off the ground. After reaching this position, the elbows bend to move the hands back under the shoulder. The member must ensure their hands are flat on the ground with the index fingers inside the outer edges of the shoulders and push their whole body back to the starting position. This completes 1 repetition. Resting can only be done in the up position. You may remove your hands or feet from the floor or bridge or below your back, but only in the up or rest position. Resting any other body part on the floor is not allowed. If resting occurs in the down position, the hands release push-up portion of the test will be terminated, and your score will be based on the correct number of hands release push-ups performed up to that point. The number of successfully completed repetitions in 2 minutes will be recorded as the raw score.
Component 3, the 2-minute cross-leg reverse crunch. Equipment and verbal instruction. Equipment. U.S. Air Force approved timing device, floor mat optional. Instructions must be read before the start of the test along with a short demonstration. The member will lie on their back on a flat, level surface, legs straight, feet on the ground. Arms are crossed over the chest with open hands or fingers touching the shoulders or upper chest. Hands can't grab the shirt. While keeping the lower back on the floor, bring both legs towards the chest while reaching your right elbow across your body to touch your left thigh. Then return to the starting position. This is counted as repetition number 2. The repetition will not count if your hands or fingers do not remain in contact with the shoulder or upper chest throughout the assessment, including the rest position. The repetition will not count if your lower back lifts off the ground, elbow does not touch the opposite thigh, or legs do not fully extend when returning to the start position. The resting position will be the same as the starting position. Note, while performing this exercise, your head does not need to touch the ground. If you move out of place greater than a foot, you will be warned, and if it continues, those repetitions will not count. Component number 4, time forearm plank. Equipment and verbal instructions. Equipment, U.S. Air Force approved timing device. Floor mat, optional. Must be full length of the body. Instructions must be read before the start of the test along with a short demonstration. The forearm plank will be performed on a flat level surface. An exercise mat may be used. The member must be entirely on or off the exercise mat. Upper body of the member cannot be on the exercise mat with feet off. The event will consist of maintaining a proper forearm plank position for the maximum time allowed. The PTL will record time with a stopwatch to the nearest second and will announce start, as well as 15-second intervals. Members will begin face down on the floor with elbows bent, forearms flat on the floor/mat, with the body in a straight line through the head, shoulders, back, and buttocks and legs. Elbows must be aligned directly below the shoulders at a 90-degree angle between the forearm and upper arm. Hands will be in a fist with the pinky side of the hand touching the floor or lying flat with palms touching the floor. Forearms may be parallel or angled inward, but the hands cannot be joined together. Feet must be placed hip-width apart. Hips must be lifted off the deck with only the forearms, hands, and toes on the floor. Knees are straight, pelvis in a neutral position, and back flat. The back, buttocks, and legs must be straight from head to heels and must remain so throughout the test. Toes, forearms, and fists or palms must remain in contact with the floor/mat at all times. The folding of hands is not permitted. No other part of the body may contact the vertical support surface. Involuntary muscle spasms, shaking, trembling, and quivering resulting from maximum exertion during the exercise is anticipated and permitted as long as the proper forearm plank position is maintained. Forearm plank ends when the maximum time for the forearm plank has elapsed or until the last participant stopped prior to the maximum time allowed. Any part of the body other than the hands, forearms, or feet touch the floor. Member lowers head to hands. Member lifts hands, forearm or feet off the floor, or member does not maintain 90 degrees at the elbow. If the member receives more than 2 corrections on the form, the 3rd correction will stop the assessment and the time will be recorded. This will be the official forearm plank time score of the member.
The 20-meter hammer is one assessment of cardiorespiratory fitness. You will run between 2 lines 20 meters apart at a progressively faster pace to the tempo of a recorded beep. You will start behind the first line and begin jogging to the opposite line when instructed by the recording.
Level 1, 1.
You will leave the line when you hear the beep and should arrive at the opposite line just before the next beep. You must touch the line with 1 foot before the beep sounds. If you get to the line early, do not begin running back before the beep sounds. Failure to reach the line before the beep or leaving the line too early will result in a warning. 3 consecutive warnings will result in a termination of the test.
Level
If you receive a
1,
warning
4.
but successfully reach the line on the next shuttle, the warning count will start back at 0. You must maintain cadence with the soundtrack or your test will be terminated.
5.
After each level, the time between beeps becomes shorter, requiring you to run faster. You're encouraged to keep going until you are no longer able to keep the pace. If at any point you feel unable to continue, you may stop the test and step off the court. Your score will be the last successful shuttle completed before 3 consecutive warnings or when you voluntarily terminate your test.
Level 11, 4.